You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
I'm the man, and the man feels no pressure. I am the man that everyone fears.
You are now entering the vicious circle.
You are facing a fuel-injected suicide machine!
I'm the man. When I walk, the ground shakes. I am the master. I am the ruler of the world. They have been waiting below the surface. Shake the earth underneath the giant. Shake the earth underneath the giant.
And welcome to the Vicious Circle. Sid, how you doing?
Good, Rob. How you doing? Who we got on the show with us today?
This is the one and only Dr. Stevel.
Wow.
Shit, how are you? Yeah,
Doing good,
I've
Steve.
got a little bit of a COVID scruff, right? Because you're here, I grew this so I could look like Goldberg to intimidate you a little bit, to get you in the mood. Arr!
Oh, gross me out. Where's the makeup? The guy looks a lot much better with makeup.
Right?
Goldberg, yeah, I know. I mean, but this is what
I
you
know.
got, man.
So how you been?
Good. How about you? How you guys doing today?
Good so far.
It's pretty good. It's a bit chilly here in Ontario, but it is what it is.
Yeah, luckily
Okay.
the snow is gone.
For
Is
now.
it?
Yeah.
It is? Good.
For now.
Well, I've asked you this before, Rob. The snow doesn't come there and just stay till summer.
No. Like around this time it usually comes and goes.
Does
But
there come a time that it'll stay?
in January, like end of December, January, usually we get it and it's there till March-ish.
And usually
Okay.
when the weather drops past like 0 degrees, then it'll probably stay until we get warm weather, like 1 or 2 degrees Celsius.
There we go. That's a better name for him. It's Oldberg.
That's
Goldberg. Oh,
gross Oldberg.
oh, man. Nicole, putting gross up there is not cool, man. It hurt my feelings. You're next.
And
That scared her.
Even Jeffrey says, Dr. Stevel and Sid in the same place. How is this not a pay-per-view?
Because
Yeah, there you go.
by that screen right there.
Well, I can't get COVID like that or VD.
See?
I'm not sure what kind of wrestling you're playing in, but you're scaring me now.
So, Sid, one of the things we wanted to talk about, I remember we just before the show, was conventions and your autograph signings and stuff. How is that changing with the future?
Well, we all three talked about it a little bit. Same thing with you guys, conventions up there for your film festivals and all that up there. I think we talked about the one I went to California. We'll just go back on it a little bit. When I left here out of Memphis, the connecting flight was in Dallas, California. It was like you've heard on TV. The people were, like one person was in one aisle, then there wouldn't be anyone. It was real spread out. But once we got to got there into California, it was like that getting there. But on the way back, I noticed there was a lot of people at the gate. So we got on the flight. There wasn't an empty seat, and I asked the lady. I said, I thought that this was by the rules, mitigation, where people would be 3-6 feet apart, wouldn't be sitting on next to each other. And she said, no, the airlines just have it like that. So I just took it. They didn't care. And they got you on for me, what am I going to do? I'm in California. My bags are in the plane. If it takes off without me, I don't get home to the next day. These promoter people they can say what they want. They're not going to pick up the phone after they drop you off. You know what I mean? I mean, these guys might have, but again, it's too much. So I went ahead and went through it. It was completely sold out, not a seat left. So just as my luck would have it, there was me, two people to my right, and then I was on the aisle. Then there was a lady, and then there was two people next to her. a man and woman. Man and woman was arguing. I heard them talk about something. The lady looked like she was maybe 3-4 months pregnant. The argument was that evidently the guy had been flirting with another woman at the connecting flight somewhere else. I think she said Philadelphia.
Oops.
So it got to where I thought you was gonna love me, Bob. And next thing I know, boom, she hits him, and so she comes flying over the seat. And the one lady on the aisle tells her, first of all, says, "Hey, while they're arguing real loud, she goes, ma'am, you might want to be quiet. You know, they're kicking people off flights. You might want to watch what you're, keep it down a little bit." She said, "Lady, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm gonna beat your ass like he's fixing to get his ass beat." And I was like, "Oh God, this isn't happening." Sure enough, boom. So she hits him. She jumps over everybody, runs down the aisle. He takes off after her. Long story short, the cops finally come, take them both off the plane. So I asked the steward, and I said, "Hey man, does this happen all the time?" He goes, "Yeah, it is happening all the time." He said, "Mostly on weekends." And I said, "Well, someone told me a girl I know worked for Delta, and she had to give her notice because all this is going on." She said that she heard it happen too, but the reason being is the people that are flying today aren't people that normally fly. They're people who get these cheap tickets. And I noticed that at the airport, and it was just everybody. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but everybody looked like carnival people or gypsies. I'm not kidding. It just no one looked civilized. It was just like, oh man, this isn't
Well, they're
happening.
scrapping in the seats. I guess they're not.
And we get this
But then,
bring up at our
then
town
at the
center.
autograph signing, a guy comes up. First I'm told there was going to be a shield between us, and everybody'd have masks. None of that was in play. And then one guy came up to me, just right in my face, blah, and just of alcohol. I mean, of course, if you can smell alcohol that close to you, you're probably going to be that close to the virus. Now, like a dumbass, I feel bad about no one else wearing masks, and there's no, I thought, well, I'm the only one sitting here with a mask. I take it, put it on, take it off. Finally, just this one guy, this is the time I didn't have it on, and I was like, okay, and no one cared, So I don't understand it. I had a friend of mine call me the other night, said that a lot of these people were going out doing these autograph signings. I had 3 people call me the other day. They're all supposed to call back tonight, wanting an answer. And I told them, I said, man, they're asking about one in March. I'm sure this has something to do with WrestleMania. But it's just, I said, man, I don't think they know what's going to happen in March. And we all 3 talked about that too, especially for you, Rob, with your film festival and your, what's the other thing you got going? Comic-Con.
Yeah, we have the Comic-Con in April, and right now it's on the fence. We don't really think we'll be able to run it in April.
Right.
You sound like you're a pretty good sport with what was happening, even though you didn't agree with it. I mean, is it like the show must go on mentality that you had? I mean, you're there.
Well, you're there. You know what I mean? You're there already. The guy's already, puked in my face pretty much. But it's just again, but when I got myself home and thought about it, I did not go on the show in the following weekend in New York. I just didn't want to go through that again.
And then that's a good call. Do you think this is going to affect a lot of future cons? Because as you know, I'm a fan as well as working here. But when I meet celebrities, like I like to have one-on-one conversations with them instead of just a quick photograph. And I do like to have photographs as well. But if this COVID is going to happen, that's probably not going to happen in the future anymore, right?
No, I don't see it happening safely in the future. Now, we did one with a virtual autograph signing with what was the name of the company with Rock?
Virtual Asylum.
Virtual Asylum. Now that went off pretty good. This was actually a little more personal. That was like we are right now, but we got to talk a little longer. The fans seemed a little more calm or more relaxed with their conversation. Where in person, I know I've talked to people that went to these autographs and they went signings. They go, Sid, I met you in an autograph signing one time, but man, when I got up there, I was so scared I couldn't talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the virtual thing is cool, but as far as the other, I don't know, guys. Like for instance, today was the second Sunday that our church actually had service. Last Sunday was the first, and I don't think they had but 14 people. And suppose you have to call and make a reservation. Well, what it is, a lot of people aren't jumping in line to go to places like that.
Yeah.
The ones that are doing it are the ones that are just arguing. But I think we're going to see that. Me and Rob talked about that before, that people, until they feel safe, aren't going to come out. But when people do feel safe, I think everything out there, from wrestling to theaters to concerts to conventions and all that, I think they'll do better business than they've ever done before, because people want to get back out, but not until they feel safe. Like I said, my church there alone, majority of people said they're not coming back till there's a vaccine. Then you got some churches that it's packed. So I think we'll see that in everything too. Like Comic Cons. I think, Rob, what did you say they said for you guys? They only allow so many people compared to what it would have been.
Yeah, right now the main hall that we do our show in, it's huge, and we can only have 50 people total in there.
And normally you could have,
Well, normally it's, I think, 1,900.
2,000.
Yeah.
How could you even do something like that and get where anybody felt like they were even there?
Yeah.
50 people.
I've got a plan. If we could put 500 people in that hall, like that's vendors and everything included, we could run a little bit of a show. But again,
Okay.
we got to get to that point. And like you said, people need to feel safe.
Right, exactly. Now I wonder how.
Around you, right?
Well, like he said, he was supposed to have a shield at one time. So, but you would almost want one,
Well, this is the thing: is it's getting worse. The virus, the numbers of all hospitalization, deaths, and confirmed cases, every day is breaking a new record. So anything like we're talking about to be normal, even to go to the supermarket right now, it's a higher risk of going out right now. So if the risk is higher, I see things like mandatory shutdowns coming. Biden's already said 100 days when he gets in office, everybody's got to wear a mask. Which I wear one anyway. But when especially I go places, but they're talking about wearing one even when you're in your house. Me too.
yeah.
That looks like a
Yours is
pair
nicer.
that looks like a pair of panties like that. I don't know.
Well, it's got a good smell to it, man. That's really cool.
Yeah. But no, I don't know, guys. Me and Rob talked about it. I hope everybody will take this seriously and let's get past this. The thing about this virus, from really what I feel like today, the scariest thing is not the deaths, which that's scary. It's the hospitalizations. And the hospital, that's going to climb so fast that you won't be able to go to the hospital for a hangnail. This past summer, I was caught in that dilemma. Just to get a hernia surgery took me 4 months. Remember, Rob?
I do remember.
So again, even something that's that wasn't a big deal, but it kept me grounded. I couldn't stand up without serious pain, and if it would have ruptured, I would have just had to have been taken in by ambulance. But that's what it is. It's the hospitalizations that it's
You're
just
right,
going
that's the main reason why they've got the big shutdowns, right? Because
right.
they say that the percentage of people surviving is really, of dying is really small. But the fact is, we don't have enough ventilators for the people that are serious about
Right.
getting it. So the hospitals will be overbooked. So if they get to spread out the virus between certain times that people taking care of at home, then we'll be able to run. But if everyone gets at the same time, it'll be a total disaster.
Well,
And
that's
that
what's
is what everyone
happening.
is forgetting.
Well, that's what's happening right now with more people have traveled in the last 7 to 10 days than they have the last 7 to 10 months. With Thanksgiving and all that. So I'm hoping it won't. A lot of people were smart and stayed home. I know the day after Thanksgiving, for here in Memphis in our area on television, nobody was out shopping. Not like it. So I think people were. Thing is, and I've said this to Rob too. Excuse me, everyone. Is that it's the people that are going to make the difference. It's not going to be mandates or where we have to wear masks or stay home and stuff like that. Because people that want to do that, they're not going to do that. It's the people that want to do something, that don't want to catch this virus and don't want to spread this virus, catch it, spread it, whatever. We just don't, For me, and Rob knows I can. Just having to go to get an antibiotic, I had to go get the COVID test because I wasn't had a really bad congestion. You can hear it now. I was scared a little bit. Because the infection was really bad. I mean, I really couldn't breathe. And I've had this my whole life. But just thinking that, what it was, I had to go sit in line with all the other COVID people. And then I saw this girl come out and just in tears. I'm sure somebody either got COVID or someone died. So I'm thinking, what's going on? And so sitting around for those 4 days waiting for the results, I was thinking, man, if I had it, dude, it's, and then that was enough for me to say, okay, I'm going to hunker back down a little bit. Went back to my boring ass food today, baked chicken, peas, and cabbage. I'm going to try to limit my trips to the grocery store, or put myself like, I am going tomorrow to go to the gym, but I won't go to the store the same day. I'll limit myself in places that I don't, just don't put myself all day in a position to catch it. Thing about the gym too, and I'm not giving myself an out on this, but I can park at the front door if I get there early enough. And what I do is I'll walk out in between sets outside. So I'm not inside. So I know that sounds stupid, but the odds are greater if I'm not inside there the whole time. I mean, they're better for me not to get it. So
Yeah.
I'm doing that. And hopefully we're looking at some warmer temperatures coming here by Wednesday. And I'm going to start doing some of my workout back here at the house again. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going places where I have to go. I'm going to have to do some Christmas shopping for my grandson and my kid, Gunner, and my wife. I can't do that online. I want to go out, but I'll do it during the week when nobody else is out.
Yeah. Nicole even sent out a little face with a little mask on it.
Good, Nicole. Now I wonder how everybody did. Everybody enjoy last week when we talked about wrestling and we watched wrestling and we compared what we thought the next day. Did everyone enjoy that? Give us a response on that.
Jason did mention this just a bit earlier. What are your thoughts on Sting to AEW, and would you consider a return?
And we talked about this too, me and Rob. I don't know about me. Thing is this. Everything I see right now about AEW, especially what happened last Wednesday, or red flag saying that, man, they might not be around much longer. And I definitely would not be interested in jumping on a sinking boat. It's just not worth it. When people start including other territories, and I found out a little bit more about this, Rob, yesterday. I won't know all of it until Larry Francis get back with me, but it sounds like they are going with Impact to try to create some talk or buzz. That reminds me of the same thing when people can't come up with good ideas in a match, and so they have people just hit the ring, and they're doing that all the time too. So everything they're doing right now is this red flag after red flag saying, man, it's not going to be much longer.
It's almost like they're taking the podcast promotional plan, because honestly, the best way to get a podcast out is to be on other podcasts and have them on yours, because other markets see what you do.
Right.
Except for your very valid point, the minute you have competing promotions, everybody's a face.
Right. Well, it'll get some reaction in first, like those type of angles always do.
Yeah.
But this is the thing is, again, not to be picky about everything, but that finish of that match, and I watched it and I'm not sure what happened, where Moxley takes Omega and throws him through that was supposed to be the heated lamps or to keep the heat source. Yep. That one guy comes from nowhere, no one knows or cares about, said there's something wrong with Omega, where it looks like they tried to put a Band-Aid, which I don't understand that either. So the swerve was, I guess, that Omega was acting hurt but wasn't hurt. Then they got back in and finished the match, which they still went in and just had their regular match, right? From what I remember. So the swerve was so weird, no one picked up on it. Then after the match, they took off Omega and that guy to the back, I guess to a car or something. Then I guess somebody said something about Impact or TNA. And again, if that's it, that's the cheapest and the most less thought out angle I've ever seen in my life. If you're doing that and going to another company, you did all that for nothing. Again, it's just stupid.
Well, I hope it works for them, but
no, I do too.
I'm fearing your answer is probably going to be more accurate.
Well, they popped into that and they had Sting shows, so people will tune in for a while to watch that. But again, Sting is a great thing to have on there, but what he did the other night was about it. He's not a great talker. When he talks, he exposes himself for not being a good talker. And then I just can't see him doing a lot in the ring. He looked like we are all at this age, frail.
Hmm.
So I just don't see.
Yeah, he was kind of slower in his WrestleMania match against Triple H.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, too, guys, when we're struggling, like if we were all doing a movie together and it was our first movie and we just raised enough money to just do our first movie, we'd have to, okay, let's all work hard, let's pinch pennies and let's do the right thing and try to have a little money left over and all this, and then impress everyone to where we could do another movie. Well, they're not doing that. It means work hard. Well, they're not working hard. They're doing stupid things, again, Sting can't come in and work, 2 or 3 matches a night, or, what I'm saying? He can't do that. So he's not going to be a lot of help to you. And the deal about them going to another territory, whoever's in that territory, if there's some good talent there, will help things.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's there. Everybody I've talked to said that it's pretty dismal.
And see, I get why they keep bringing back people. Like someone said last week, people want to see these people. Like people are desperate to see you back in the ring. That's why they want to see Arn Anderson. They want to see Sting. But they can't do what they did that made them so amazing at that point. So is it worth it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's always good, to have someone, to boost up the show, a little shot in the arm, even if someone could only come in once in a while and do something, or, again, you can't make like Sting the general manager of the show. That just doesn't go over. You know what I mean? But no, if you could think of some people that come in like that, like Arn, he's already there, but people like that, like Sting, come in, just get like Jake Roberts, come in, see him, and then move on to something else. That's always good to do.
Yeah, I just watched one of the Rumbles, excuse me, where they had Jimmy Snuka and Piper come back in. And those two kind of fought it out in the ring, and then they rolled over the ropes and they were out. I thought it was a neat touch, but just watching them, I could tell they weren't even 50% of what they were.
Well, but this is, and now here's another example, probably a better one. In WCW one time, they brought in all the old timers, George Steele, Jimmy Snuka. And I mean, these guys couldn't walk. They were so frail. But I thought this is going to be horrible. But it actually turned out to be a pretty good segment.
Okay.
Now, you couldn't bring it out the next week again.
Yeah.
But it's good for that one segment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you have to think about it and think of a good way to present it.
Stuart's got a question here. Hey, gentlemen, question for the master. I was watching a virtual signing with Billy Gunn, and he was asked what was the move he hated to take during his career. And he told the fans he hated taking your power bombs because you would drive his hips into the mat. Your thoughts, Sid?
Yeah, that probably happened to a few people.
No, I don't believe that.
Now, me and Billy are good friends. We used to ride together, hang out, me, him, Bart, and Bob Holly, and Carl Willett. I like old Billy Gunn.
Yes. Let's see here.
That being said, you answered that question. What about you? What move did you not like taking?
You know what? There really wasn't one I can't. They're all. That's nothing I really didn't mind taking. Now, there was one thing I refused one time. I take that back. Was they asked me to take a clothesline off one of the Road Warriors' shoulders while the other one clotheslined me off his shoulders. I went, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, that's their.
No, people landing on the back of their neck like that, and I saw that. And I've always had neck problems. So I went, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, well, that's just it too. You got to take care of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was asked one time to take the Frankensteiner, and I said no. I said, this looks like I'd fall on my head, and I wasn't up to doing that.
Jeffrey asks, I wasn't there for the last one. Oh, for the last episode. But I would love to hear a legend like yourself talk about the business. I mean, I'd ask about the WWE match against Psycho Sid versus Heath Slater, the Broken Leg, Ultimate Warrior, backstage stories, etc. But what I really want to ask about is that vintage receiver turntable in the background. It looks like you have quite the setup. What is your favorite record to toss on that system?
Well, all right, Jeffrey, you're right. Actually, my amp, which is this Kenwood receiver and amps Kenwood, I've had to take it into the shop. I had just a little static when I turned my volume. The Kenwood amp is a 400 watt amp, and I've got 2 sets of Boston acoustic speakers back there, and 1 set of JBL. They're known as 4330s or JBL 400s. It's if you can see it back there, it's a speaker. It's almost like you order from a restaurant. You just don't give me that speaker. I ordered, you ordered without JBL on it. Ordered the studio monitors sound in that, and then I got a 15-inch subwoofer, and that thing will kill you. It's pretty loud.
It's good too.
Yeah. But I got you see, I don't know if everyone can see that album sitting there. I got a new one. It's not new, but I got it myself new about a year ago. It's called Electric Mud. It's Muddy Waters, and what they did was a bunch of jam, just guitar crazy people got together with Muddy Waters and redid a lot of the songs and put like a real rock and roll twist to it. So it's really cool to hear. Rob's heard my stereo before.
Yeah, the very first time I went down, and the bass is amazing on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy's got a question. And this is kind of interesting. Do wrestlers wear underwear under their outfits? I always wondered what would happen if there was a wardrobe malfunction, especially because everything was so tight.
Well, the truth is, they're actually called. You have your regular tights and you have under tights, what they're called. And believe it or not, some people can see these. I wore them a couple times, like in this picture right here. See how low those are? I was in the studio taking that picture, and I didn't feel like putting my other tights on. But they're just a little smaller than your other tights. The only downside, there is no elastic in them, so your balls hang out and your ass cheeks and all that.
Oh,
I got a good story about under tights if you want to hear one real quick.
Might as well.
There's this kid named Seth Padel. Everybody knows him. He's a kid had Down syndrome. He used to stay with me all the time. I brought him out on WCW, Nitro, and Thunder a couple times. Then he went with me to Memphis and went to Memphis Wrestling. He was pretty famous. Got on TV a few times. Anyway, I met him. He'd come down to my house all the time. So he said, "Sis, you got some extra wrestling gear?" I went, "Sure." So I gave him a singlet. He always wore cowboy boots. Gave him some knee pads. And I gave him a pair of under tights, as well. So now I didn't wear the singlet anymore. I wore that after my lung surgery. He just always saw me in regular tights. So one summer, about, I don't know, July, 152 degrees, I'm going down the street and going to the grocery store, and I can see Seth because he's, Down syndrome, overweight, just white as a ghost, okay? And I could see him like 10 miles away. So I roll up. As I get a little closer, I notice he's only wearing cowboy boots and under tights. And so I said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" Because he always thought he was my dad. He said, "Son, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to the grocery store." He goes, "Can I go with you?" I went, "Yeah, get in." So we drive up to the store. So when we pull in the parking lot, he goes, "Son, am I naked?"
Technically,
I said, "No, man, not at all. Come on." And so this is one of these little bitty country grocery stores. As soon as you walk in, you're on top of everyone. The produce aisle's right there. We walked in and just everybody was like, looking at Seth like, "Oh my God." And Seth could tell it. And he's really famous in this little town here because one, he's been on TV and he's real outgoing, especially at all the ball games. So he runs over to the produce, grabs a thing of bananas and puts them right over his private and says, "Hey guys, I'm not naked."
Works for Adam and Eve, right? Cover it with fruit.
And banana, good choice.
Lori here said, "Hey guys, I did enjoy last week's show about wrestling, and I must say we were very excited to see Sting. He was a big part of our childhood. It was great to see him again." And I think that's exactly it, because even Jason here says, "Yes, we are desperate for another Sid run."
Well, that's the thing is the WWE network proves that. I think I'm probably doing as much merchandising as some of these new guys because they get to see me on there and go, "Wow, I like this character." That's the thing about our wrestling fans, Rob. I've told you, the majority of them, you cannot program them.
Nope.
They're going to like who they want to like, and they're going to dislike who they want to like. And that's why it's good to see people like Sting and stuff like that. And that's why Undertaker's still so popular, because he comes from that same time.
John had a thing here too. It says Mox dropped the belt for another reason, because he wants to be a dad to his firstborn and help his wife.
That's bullshit. I don't believe that for a minute. Let me tell you something, everyone. I missed the birth of my second son. Okay, it was just by coincidence. I've told the story that I was going from Atlanta to Dallas, and it just so happens Memphis was in between, and there were several other flights that would get me there on time. So I had someone pick me up at the airport. A buddy of mine took me to the hospital. By the time I got there, the baby was already born. I took a picture with him, went straight back to the airport, and went to work.
Cool.
I don't believe Moxley did that. What happens a lot of times when someone has to drop the belt and they don't want to drop the belt, like Sean did with me that time, they'll take some time off all of a sudden, right, Rob? We've seen that so many times. Now, I think we talked about this. I thought it was good. At some time I figured they was going to put that on Kenny Omega. I didn't think the other night was the right time. Now that we heard this about Moxley wanting to take time off, that might be why they didn't have as good a match as they should have had. Because I said this, their match did not equal the interview they did the week before. And when you don't do that, that's a disappointment to everyone. That's like saying you're going to win, but you don't win. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you say you're going to win and don't win, you damn sure have got to have the best match of your lifetime. You know what I mean? And you can't do it by sitting in a chair next to the guy taking friendly slaps. That doesn't work. When I saw that spot, that said, okay, they're not trying. All right.
No, that makes sense.
Right.
Daniel here has got a question. He said, hey, Sid, can you tell me something about WrestleMania 8? And this we talked a little bit about. Was it planned for Papa Shango to come out at the last minute? Remember we were talking about, because you kicked out of the leg drop.
I was told I was going to do that like a year prior, kick out the leg drop. But I did not know anything about Papa Shango hitting the ring or the Ultimate Warrior. Now, I've told everybody this. I gave my notice a month prior. So I think they thought that was a way of getting me back or something.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I wouldn't have, they wouldn't have told me because I didn't want to be there anymore anyway. So I didn't need to know that.
Yeah. Okay. The reason I asked the question about WrestleMania 8 is because there was rumors that Papa Shango was not meant to come down, and Vince sent him at the last minute. And that kind of confirms just what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know, what's going on there. Because I didn't ask, me, Rob, I don't ask and don't care.
Yep. You're there for the job.
I'm there for the job and do it. Yeah.
Here's another question from JD. Sid, what was your favorite War Games match that you took part in? War Games in '93 with Vader and Harlem Heat versus Sting, Bulldog, Dustin, and Shockmaster, or War Games in '91 with the Horsemen versus Sting, Brian Pillman, and the Steiner Brothers?
Probably the one with Vader and the Harlem Heat. I knew more about wrestling and that War Games. I pretty much booked that. I was helping with that. So because I was so involved in every part of that, the booking process and bringing in, I pretty much brought, well, not pretty much, I did. I brought in Harlem Heat and Colonel Parker, gave them their names, their character, wrote their interviews, everything. So to be a part of something and then being a part of the other side was probably more fun than being part of the wrestling side of it.
Here's another good one from Jamie. Sid, how did it feel to be the WWE champion 2 times?
Well, this is the thing is we talk about that too. For me, it wasn't that I didn't care about belts, and I was always told I'd never be a champion because I didn't need a belt to draw money. And I was told that from the beginning of my career. And they said we only put belts on people that need it, unless just in situations where it does make sense. And so what the deal was there, I was on the whipping post, and I worked myself again. I talk about how you got to work hard when times call for it. Well, that's what I did for a year to get myself off that whipping post. So when I got myself off of it, was because I worked so hard, and I forced them to put that belt on me. I didn't ask for that belt. They were going to put that on Vader. So for me to work so hard, I forced their hands to do that. And Rob, we told the story 1,000 times. When I came out for the match with Vader, I knew then they want to make the switch. And they came to me a month later and said, that's the guy. I knew it a month ago at the Gardens. I told 2 people this, okay? 2 people. Now, Rob, real quick, I told Jeff Arthur yesterday I was 7 for 7 in football games.
Oh, yep.
7 for 7, everyone. So, again, when I do something or say something, I'm pretty much going to be right.
He's on a call-in streak.
Dude, I'm not kidding, guys. I mean, these games I didn't want to pick because I didn't trust them even. No, these went for sure. But, like I tell you, Rob, sometimes there's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, these weren't even for sure. They were, I thought, and every one of them, I won every one of them.
Oh, so you went with some gut.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, Rob, when I've told you for sure, did it pull off
Yes.
every time,
So far, every single time. And
every
trust me,
single game?
we've talked about it. I try to be the devil's advocate. I want to go back and find one. And so far, I can't think of a single one.
I
It's
swear,
driving me
man.
crazy. Oh, Jeffrey is a fan of Electric Mud.
Okay, man.
That's cool. I didn't know he knew that.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Oh, Never said, when do we get Sid shirts?
You know what? This is the thing. Is funny you asked for that. I got a call yesterday from Doug Gilbert, a friend of mine, and he's got a guy with the company who wants to do T-shirts. Excuse me. So we should have shirts pretty soon, everyone.
Nice.
I like the logo you've got here for the Vicious Circle podcast. I wouldn't mind getting a shirt like that.
Yeah, that's a good logo too. Yeah.
Actually, I was talking to a guy for our Comic-Con when you were going to come up about doing exclusive podcast shirts that were glow in the dark.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool.
I'm going to bring it back up. If anybody wants something like that, let me know. So we'll see if there's any kind of interest.
Hey, and real quick too, before I forget this, our prayers out to Maggie. I haven't heard from her the last couple shows. I know she said she had eye surgery, so I hope your eye's doing good. And even when it needs to be on a prayer list, let us know that. It might be a jinx tease. That might be a good reason not to get on our prayer list. But on the songs too, everyone, I haven't heard a good song recently. Now, it's not that I'm not trying. I'm trying to find a song that no one's heard. And that's why we've heard a little bit back on the, we had some feedback on the Prince song with Dwight Yoakam, Purple Rain, but we haven't heard a lot of people back from the song The River from Ted Jodorowsky. We haven't heard any feedback on Lucinda Williams, and the song was called The Fruits of My Labor. The other song was Bonnie Raitt with John Prine. It was called Montgomery Angel, or the Angel from Montgomery, something like that.
So
So
the recent one, Jim Croce, Operator.
yeah, Operator. Now, the thing about that is, honestly, I expect everyone to know that song. Okay. So, and I think someone did sort of feedback that day. I think it was Val. Anyway, we got a little feedback and compared it to another song or something. But now that song there, I just heard it right before the show that night or that day and threw that out there. But that is Jim Croce. Well, we like him, everyone, is because he wasn't a great singer or anything, but he was a great songwriter.
Yeah.
And him and who was it? Neil Sedaka and people come from New York. There's a bunch of great songwriters that come from that area at that particular time in our music culture too.
Jim Croce too. It's his guitar. Because
Right.
Time in a Bottle, that guitar, it's just incredible.
It is. It really is. But no, I'm going to I'm putting my head to the grindstone everyone. I just hadn't heard one that I really thought everybody would like to listen to. So if you guys got something, let us know.
JJ has asked, what's your favorite Pat Patterson memory?
Oh man. Let's see. You know, the thing about Pat and my experiences with Pat, were all business experiences, except for a couple of corny ones when I first came to the WWF. But this is what I remember about Pat. There aren't really great stories, but what I remember about him is this: he was really smart. I didn't learn a lot from him, but you would learn the simple things, like why does someone wear black boots? They say, for instance, he already had an answer for weird things like that. But this is what I do remember about him. I remember one time him explaining to me or describing the way a match is. And him describing it, his face was so full of joy. And I think someone that night there was a situation where someone didn't want to do the job for someone. And that happens all the time. And now Pat was just the opposite. And I was too. When you do the job and you cooperate, everybody in the ring together can make this beautiful scene. To where all the people are really happy in the end. But if you got one person not understanding that both sides are equal, just because you're doing the job, I mean, when you're doing the job, in my opinion, you're the most important part of the match. Because without doing that, you can't get the people to go, yay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the ultimate achievement for me as a heel is to be able to put someone over. And I've told you this, Rob, I got fined for putting people over before because I knew how easy it was to get the people to clap. And
Yeah.
you learn this going to your car at nights when you don't put someone over, you give them a DQ or a count out. The people go, oh God, you suck, Sid. And I go, wow, I thought it was pretty good. But then I changed the finish and started putting Lex over. I go to my car, they go, wow, man, you're awesome, Sid. It was just slide him over with a small package, a little roll up. Put his foot on the rope, or I put my foot on the rope and had a ref. Anyway, we just changed it where we put him over, right? And that's what the people want, So Pat understood that too, and when he would describe and explain it to you and tell you the story about going through that, it was really a great thing to listen to, because that's the way Pat was. Pat he just wanted a great show.
Sid, with what you said, you were fined for putting someone over. Can you give us some information on that?
Well, what it was, I was working with, I was going to be the world champion in the next pay-per-view. This one, pay-per-views were every 3 months or every 4 months. So I was going around the loop, and we were main event, me and Lex, and he should have put me over because I'm working with Sting, and I was supposed to, and I did become world champ for 15, 30 seconds. But again, so we're doing a count out and a double DQ, and I could just hear the people just grasping. They were so mad. And again, walked to my car. They say, "Sid, you suck. What a horrible match." Then I could hear the people. So we were in Amarillo. We went to Lubbock. I changed the finish where I put him over. Or so then we go to Charlotte or somewhere the next tour. And Grizzly Adams comes to me, Grizzly Smith, I'm sorry, and says, "Hey, Sid, you probably noticed on your check you got fined for something. That was because you put Lex over, and we can't have you putting people over because we're trying to make a star from you, out of you." And I said, "Grizz, this way I look at it, I'm not going to give the people a dead finish in main event, meaning a DQ or count out. Now, if you want to put someone above me or let me go over, or put someone above me in a finish and let me go semi-main event, I'll be glad to do a count out or DQ." I said, "But if I'm main event," I said, "you guys can just keep fining me, And they changed the order of the match.
Cheryl has a question, and this is cool because I like how we've been bringing up these terms. Sid, can you please explain what call a spot means? I hope that's the right phrase.
Yeah, when we call a spot, say for instance, when we talk as the heel and we talk about heat. So if I'm getting heat on Rob, and Rob is what we call the baby face, I'm getting on him. This is for people who used to go through it in the back. This is when we sit in dressing rooms away from each other. We had to call spots in the ring. So a spot might be, I'm beating Rob up, and I'll say, "Okay, Rob, I'm going to peel off. I'm going to come back to you. Then I'm going to have you give me a shot to the gut." And that's giving him what's called a hope spot. Okay. I'm going to have you do a couple of those, hit the ropes, come off. I'll give you a big boot, and I'll stop you and go back into my heat. So that's a spot. You know what I mean? Or if I grab a headlock in the beginning of the match, I go, shoot me off, tackle, drop down, and grab it again. You know what I mean? So you shoot me off, he'll drop down, I'll come over, he comes up, kick him in the gut, and grab it again. That's a spot.
Excellent. It's cool because so many people want to learn what's going on.
Sure.
Here's one from Muzamit. Hey, Sid, is it true that you looked after Booker T when he was trying to get into the game?
Bless you, Rob. Yeah, actually, I looked after him and his brother, both Stevie. They came and stayed with me. What it was is I was doing a benefit in Dallas, Texas for Kerry Von Erich after he had passed away. And I went down there. Mike Davis was running the deal and asked me if I could come in, which Ole said I could. Ole was in charge of WCW. So I drove myself down there. Me and a buddy of mine worked the match. I actually worked against Harlem Heat. So I saw these guys on them and Sean Waltman, which was the 1, 2, 3 kid, or he was the Karate Kid or something at one time. He was in Global too. And I wanted to bring all three of them to WCW. So when I got there, I met Harlem Heat. Sean was already gone to WWF, so I didn't get a chance to get him. So I asked them if they wanted a job. And they said yes. So they came to Atlanta and lived with me. I had a condo there at Windy Hill Road. So they stayed with me for a couple months till they could get on their feet and get their own apartment and everything. And actually, I gave them both a pair of boots where they could have matching boots. But they slept on my couch, and one slept in my guest bedroom. It just drove me crazy. Booker T, they're lazy, okay? And I'm up and gone 3 times a day before they ever wake up, But no, it was a lot of fun. They never were a problem or anything like that. And Stevie, I love being with him. He's a really smart guy, really good with dates, real articulate and stuff like that. Booker's usually asleep all the time. But me and Stevie always had a good time. But it was a lot of fun with those guys around. And I'm glad to have helped them guys out because that's what I was doing. I was trying to create talent.
Absolutely. Andy said, Sid, have you got every action figure that was ever made of you?
No, I actually only have one. And I give them all away. I'll be honest with you. I've got one in somewhere in here, and I think I got it already given away. There's actually a police officer stopped me the other day coming out of Walmart. He's got a little girl with Down syndrome. He knows they would like an autographed picture, and I haven't said this yet, but if I have that one left, I think I'm gonna give it to her for Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. This one's from Jeff. I'm bringing this up for the last part of the question. He says, we've seen lots of top tier athletes in all sports have severe injuries to their legs and still come back. Anderson Silva comes to mind. Some dealt with it better than others. How difficult was it for you to recover? And then this part, because I remember you talking about the kip up. Did Arn inspire you to try the kick up from the top rope? Oh, wait.
I don't understand that. Imagine.
Inspire you to try the kick? Oh, I misread that question. He said, did Arn inspire you to try the kick from the top rope?
No, that was Johnny Ace's idea. No, I would have never. No one was stupid enough to thought of that.
Okay. I misread that question. I thought he was talking about the kip up. You know, I
Yeah,
jump up
right.
your back. Oops. Yeah, I misread that. Andy's got a question then. And this, I guess this depends on era. How much of a match is rehearsed?
Well, used to none of it was, and nowadays I think it's all had been gone over 10 or 15 times before they ever go out, and that's what I think everyone we're seeing. The people we want to see. For instance, for me, the attraction to AEW is they're sort of corny looking, and they do make mistakes. You know what I mean? So it makes them look like they're human and they're really trying. When you see it choreographed like that, and I feel like I'm 100% right on this. A few years back, I was watching one of the WWE shows, and they actually put a spot in there to where it looked like they messed up, where the people go, "You fucked up," you know,
Yep.
but the people didn't buy it. You know, and the commentators put it over, but the people didn't.
Yep.
So it looked that rehearsed that the spot messed up even looked perfect. You know,
Well,
so
that's just like you said, you can't program people. They
No,
know what's real.
well, I think what we're saying has a lot of merit to it, Rob, because we looked at those ratings of their scale last week, and WWE has a superior product, meaning with production and all the great things they got there, and they got better talent. But for some reason, the people are interested in this company that are allowed to make mistakes, that are allowed to go out there and get themselves over too. In order to make mistakes, sometimes to get yourself over, you have to make a mistake when you got that many people walking out in a 2-hour show. But that's the advantage of the other ones getting over. Like the other night when Chris Jericho had that horrible match and that whole deal where they were so confused out there and stuff like that. Just the week before, he had a great walk to the ring, had a good match because he was able to do it on his own. Now, I'm pretty sure he'd like to take last week's show back, but he could come out next week and they allow him to get himself over again, and he might make people forget that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Calling a match, how, like, you're in a ring. Normally they say that the heels call the match, correct? So
Right.
let's say you get somebody that just has a brain fart and just doesn't know what to do. What?
Well, normally the heel calls matches if the heel's got more experience and he's been doing it, or he or she's been doing it for a while. That's the only other time then where they would alter that deal. Now today, I don't know how they do it, and it's not always if the babyface has got more experience, he can call the match too. It's just my experience has always been the heel call the match, and if I was a babyface, I always allowed the heel to call the match. You know, as long as now I was lucky. You know, I was working with good heels. You know, like Vader and Bigelow and stuff like that. So, you know, the guys were calling good matches. So, but I think if I came across someone that wasn't calling a good one, I would stop it and do it myself.
It kind of makes sense too, though, because if the heel is doing the job, you know, which is normal progressing, then you let them do it on their terms.
Right. And that was just, you know, unless, again, you know, unless the office has said to me before, said, you got to get over, don't bump for no one, you know, don't sell for no one. And then, you know, someone had you take a bump. I go, no, I can't take one. You know, so it just depends the circumstance.
Okay.
Was there any time where, you know, while in your matches, the other person got totally lost and was like, had a brain fart, so you had to cover?
Oh yeah, I've done it myself, man. It's just get out there it's on live TV and go, oh shit, what were we supposed to do? You know, so that happens all the time.
Rondell is in favor of the t-shirts. Yes, Rob.
All right, Rondell. Yeah, man.
Dean has a good one here. Sid, you've known Sting since the 80s. What's it like seeing him in the spotlight like the other night? Were you close with Steve back in the day? Old school fans love seeing him back.
Yeah, I was close to him. He's in the top 3 or 4 people that I enjoy working with the most. He was a giver, a hard worker, and all those things. But no, I love seeing him on there too. I just don't want to see him get hurt or anything like that, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm not knocking Sting when I say things like I've said tonight. I'm just saying what I sort of see.
Well, and that's what I worry about too. People seeing him back in the ring, are they expecting Sting back in the ring?
Right.
You know, and will they be
No,
disappointed if he can't perform?
no, I'm gonna tell you something, guys. Sting told me this several years before I broke my leg, and we were talking one day in the dressing room. He says, Sid, did you ever hurt? And I wasn't hurting like he was talking about then. I went, well, my shoulder hurts sometimes. He goes, no, I mean, like hurt all over where you can't get out of bed. I didn't know what he was talking about 2 years later. So if he's been experiencing that kind of pain for that long, I can't see it being something he would want to do a lot of.
Yeah, it makes me curious what they're using him for.
Well, if he told, he quit Vincent them because he just couldn't do it anymore, right? What the word was.
Let me see here. Jamie said, yep, me too. I would wear one. So there we go. Got a couple people that want it. Here we go. Lori's back. Sid, I listened to the methamphetamine song and thought it was great. Was nice to hear a song from Old Crow Medicine Show besides the usual wagon wheel song.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you, Lori.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, by the way, too, everyone, I came up with an idea the other day. Lori was on our show one time, and we'd love to have her back again sometime. But what we want to do is we want to invite someone that wants to come on the show like Steve was on today. So if anyone wants to come on our show and have a topic they want to talk about, let us know. We're glad to have you on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know Andy wants to come on. I haven't heard from him in the past little while, and I know his mom's getting better. So I'm hoping that's what's keeping him busy.
You know what's funny about Lori, too, when we had her on, we was discussing that vitamin D. I've heard more about that since then, and I've heard more about it in the last few days than I've ever heard. What it is deficiency. If we have that, it does affect us with the coronavirus deal a whole lot.
Yeah, it makes you, from the reports I've seen, it makes you more susceptible.
Right.
Where
was Lori from, Rob? Mississippi?
I want to say Louisiana, but I'm sorry. I've talked to about 5 people from different states, so I might be crossing state lines.
Lori, where are you from?
Yeah,
I think she's Mississippi.
Danilo here has said, hey, Sid, you were supposed to be the bad guy then, but how did it feel when the majority of the crowd was cheering for you at the end of Rumble 92 against Hogan and at Survivor Series 96 and Rumble 97?
This is the thing is, guys, since beginning of my career as a heel, and I enjoyed being a heel more than anything, was just that I got cheered, majority of the time I was going to the ring. More so in the Northeast than say the South, but a lot of times I got booed depending who I was working with. But they booed Hogan, they booed Shawn, they booed Sting, they booed everybody at one time.
Well, the time in '92, it was Hogan's a great talent and he's really got good charisma. But at that time, we had too much of Hogan. We needed a change. And you were right there at the perfect time, and we loved you for it.
This is the thing is, Steve, I've told everybody that it wasn't I was the magic unicorn. It's just Hogan had his run. And back then, runs were a lot shorter than they are today. Vince didn't, work them as well. So that's all it was, man. And if my time would have came before I had given my notice, that they would have booed me too.
But see, I think it was a combination of two. You said, yeah, they definitely had enough of that run, but they could see in you what they wanted to see.
Right.
That makes them drive even further the other way.
Right. Exactly.
It could have just been anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it could have.
Not the 1, 2, 3 kid. I'm sorry.
To get away from Hogan.
But from Hogan,
to get what he got, no, it was because people saw in him what they wanted.
Right.
Dean said here, let's get those podcast t-shirts made. Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right, man.
People are really liking this. Where was the other one I saw? Sorry, I had one here. Do
we ever find out where she was from?
No, she hasn't messaged yet.
I know it's somewhere in Mississippi.
I'm kind of wondering too now. I think
I think
I
it's South
With,
Mississippi.
Christmas coming around, you've probably had a lot of Christmas holidays on the road.
Oh yeah.
Were some of those celebrations really cool because you're away from family? It gives you a different atmosphere, isn't it?
You know, the thing about it was Christmas at one time was the biggest night of the year for wrestling. And the reason being was everybody, the afternoon, the evening, there was nothing to do, and everybody usually had a little extra money. So we always did good business on Christmases. So I never was home for Christmas for years.
Here it is. Daniel asked, "Hi Sid, how much fun was it to smash the barbershop up?"
You know what? It was pretty fun. I was mad at first that the stuff got all over my face, but then when I saw the outcome of it, I thought it was pretty cool.
Excellent. Oh, and here she is. Lori said, "I was in Mississippi, but actually just moved back to home, sweet home, Tennessee. And yes, I truly believe there is a connection between COVID and vitamin D deficiency."
What part of Tennessee?
Ah, see, yeah, I can't
Type
remember that
fast,
now.
Lori.
Type
I
very-
know, man. Well, Doug Gilbert's over at Lexington.
Let me see here. Jeffrey said, "I'd love to come on the show. I'm not sure if there's any criteria to the song suggestions, but I might suggest Happiness Jones by a band called the Wood Brothers."
We'll try to listen to that.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that band.
How about you try singing it for us?
Yeah.
We're giving you suggestions. You come on
Well,
and sing it for us.
He might actually. He
Yeah.
is the lead singer of a band called Fighting Grace that played at the Chatham County International Film Festival, the drive-in. They were the band that opened.
Oh, really?
He may actually sing it for us.
All right,
All right.
let's do her.
Let me see here. Jamie asks, "Sid, how was the Undertaker with you in the locker room?"
He's always cool. Mark's really laid back, just a real genuinely nice guy.
Well, you guys were right back at the beginning, because even if you watch the intro, that's got Lord Humongous facing up against Mean Mark.
Yeah, me and Mark, yeah.
That's way back.
Well, he took my place when I had my lung surgery as well.
They said Undertaker just recently released last year Undertaker: The Last Ride, and it's the first time that Mark's broke character kayfabe for the public. I thought that was an amazing series. Did you get a chance to watch it?
No, it's not the first time, because I saw him on ESPN for a Texas game a couple years ago. So, but I think it's the first time they let him really sit down and do something like that, though.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool. I was like, all these matches that I watched, I was like, oh my gosh, that's how we thought. This is like great for someone that is totally
Right. Right.
Here, Stuart's got a good question. "So many questions for the Millennium Man. WCW Mayhem 99. How did you feel about the finish to your I Quit match with Goldberg? It was a simple sleeper hold that knocked you out. Then what is your thoughts on WCW booking you in a tag match with Goldberg the next night on Nitro versus the Outsiders?"
Well, that was, again, all that I believe was with Vince Russo as booking. I think they should have done the matches backwards. They should have done I Quit and then did the blood match last, where we bled so much, because that was hard to follow. So it just, again, I'm not knocking anyone, but you would have had to work so hard in a match like that and done so many spots to say outdone the blood, and you could have never done it, right? Probably outdone the blood deal. Then I couldn't have outdone it too. And I'm not being a jerk about Bill, but I remember one time just working some spot shows, I said to Bill, because you'd ask him something, he couldn't do it. So he was doing this one thing, he could really hold you up and drop you down, whatever it was called. So I said, let's do that, and then we'll do this, and we'll come back, and we'll do that again. He goes, well, we've already done that one time. I wanted to go, what? Because I did a spot with him where I used to do with Bam Bam all the time. I'd get him in like a Campbell clutch, and then have him, pick me up on his legs and then drop me back on it like a Samoan drop, where he couldn't get me up. So I held the ropes and tried to push myself up. So I had to think of something again. I just did that spot. I just went into the same spot, something he knew, right? Then we got back. He goes, oh, we did that spot already once. So I went, oh, Bill, stop. But that's the thing is, and I'm not being a jerk, but you can't have a real good match like that when I'm not going to sit there and pull teeth all night locker room, someone trying to explain to them why you can do the same spot twice. And then again, it's hard to follow a blood match with your hands handcuffed like that in a regular match, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Jeffrey here did say, "Oh, I'll sing anything on request. Just don't ask for the HBK theme song." Fair enough. Let's see if we can grab a couple more questions here. And I like it. Remember before when I said to the fans, if you have questions and I don't get to them, just type them again. I know I've missed a couple, but I do see people reposting them. So that is perfect.
Good.
Here's another one from Jeff. Sorry for the barrage of questions. So many things coming to mind. Was Vince Russo really that bad of a guy, or do you think he provided value to the industry during his time?
No. I just, he did bring some value if you want to look at things like this. I appreciate this kind of value, say, for instance, where he took guys like Lenny and those guys that were, not good workers and never going to do anything with themselves. He did something with them. He took time to write angles with them, even though they were stupid things. He did put some people in a position to where they never would have been in that position before. You know what I mean? In a good spot. But the thing about that is when you do that, what ended up happening, they shut the territory down for all the people that could survive. You know what I mean? So the few things he did good. He did come up, I guess, with a good interview. He had to have all the ones he wrote at least one time. When he worked for Vince, he came up with one interview, part of one that I used one time, and that's it. When he worked for Vince, everyone, he was a magazine guy. He didn't do what everybody said he did and Vince Russo was honest about this in what I saw in one of his interviews. He's the one that showed all this Jerry Springer stuff to Vince and them. And this is when the business started, doing a little bit better with the tits and ass thing, really much what it amounted to, and all the stupid stuff going on with the Godfather and all these stupid little things like that. But when stupid runs out, guys, you can't catch it.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. But no, I don't think Vince Russo's been really nice to me since I've known him for, I don't know, man, long time, 30, 40, whatever long. But again, he didn't do a lot of positive stuff in this business. Well, and everything, not to cut you off, Rob, but everything you did, everyone, the territory shut down. WCW shut down. He was the booker there. He was booker, I guess, at TNA at one time. That place shut down. Dixie Carter had to sell out to someone else, and he's not at the new TNA. I guess they probably learned their lesson from that. But no, again, a good person, always a good person to me. Ed Ferraro the same, but I can't say he did anything really positive in the business.
And we talked about it on the podcast before. It was more of he was an idea guy, but he needed someone to polish it.
Right.
And that's why he and Vince worked so well together during that time. And then when he went on his own and he had no one to do any polishing, that's when the wheels started flying off. And
well, that's the thing is, everyone, Vince and them do that better than anything. And I've said that not on this. I don't think we've said it on Vicious Circle, but Vince is really good at polishing something and making it really good that you can see it 1,000 miles away. But unfortunately, sometimes those things, once you get up close enough to really see it, you don't want to see it a second time.
Yeah.
So, but again, Vince is the best at that. And you see people leaving the WWF that were real successful and they go to AEW, go TNA, and they don't do as well,
Mm-hmm.
And what it is, everyone, Vince is really good about the small details. And if you do the small details, even sometimes a turd looks good, so, and he does. He makes some things that are just horrible last a long time. He's good at that.
Okay, here. Philip's got one. Who was the hardest power bomb? And is it true that Hogan got all upset after Rumble 92 because the fans were cheering for you to win? P.S. Saw you in Birmingham NEC Arena when you defended the world title against Farouk. Great match, and thanks for giving me the best era of wrestling.
Well, what was the question again?
Who was the hardest to power bomb? And was it true that Hogan was upset after Rumble 92?
Yeah, he was. And that's when I gave my notice that night, because I told Vince, I said, I can't work in an environment that grown men act like women. And that was my exact words. And I reached out to shake his hand and told him, I said, man, I'm going home. It was in Albany, New York. And so there's the answer to that one. As far as who was the hardest to power bomb, it was probably Hogan as well. He didn't want to get up. He always wanted to be protected. And I think one time, we were doing tag match, me and Flair against him and Piper, and I hit him back the head when I busted him open a little bit. Everybody's like, "Whoa, man, you hurt Hogan." I'm like, "Well, it shit happens sometimes."
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Danilo said, would have been cool if we had Sid, Dan Spivey, and Mean Mark wrestle all together as the Skyscrapers Freebird style.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. Okay, let's grab one more. And I've seen this one a couple times. Here we go. What would be your ultimate last match type and against who? And let's say there's no restrictions. It could be anybody in any type of match. What would you want your last match to be?
I have never really thought about that. No, it wouldn't have been like I went out with a broken leg. Because that happened like that, everyone, I really haven't really thought of a final match. I had an idea of a couple of times how I'd want to try to end my career, but I never got a chance to. But so the last match would probably be something that it would be my last match. I'd be going out, I'd be putting someone over, and that's what we do in the business. We have our run. When it's over, you pass the torch. And that's what I would have enjoyed to have done.
And that is so true. I think that's why we thought Undertaker had so many retirements, because he did a lot of that passing, like the WrestleMania wins and the whole bit. So you're right, though. That is tradition.
Well, Rob, that was passing. Okay. All those passings were passings. And they're just trying to find, and they'll probably find another passing, for him. I guarantee it.
Watching the Undertaker documentary, he was going to pass the torch, but he was never happy with those matches. There's something that he was picking at that's like, I can't retire with this stuff. So he kept on going until he finally found the right match to retire with.
I don't know if I believe that either. I really believe they needed him in those positions. I still believe his last match was supposed to be the one with Hunter. From what I remember, people were building that up. But then his last one should have been with Brock in New Orleans at that WrestleMania. But then he came back after that. I think it's really because they really needed him. And he's always wanted to sacrifice everything and come back and do what's good for the business.
Yeah, he was always a guy.
Yeah. And again, this is what I don't think they've ever thought of a good way out for him. Now, if I would have came back right after I broke my leg, that was one of the things I wanted to do, was have a match that I would end with him. I wanted to end my last match with him, and then he could have done the same. Yeah, he could have done the same thing. So I had a real cool way of doing it. But again, that's who I wanted to have my last match with.
That is awesome.
Wow, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Any last words, Sid?
No, I just want to say again, everyone, we might try this thing next week again, coming on, Tuesdays and Thursdays. If anybody gets with Rob over the next few days and gives us any inclination that you guys want to do this again, I think it worked really well. Rob, do you think it did?
I did. I know the Thursday show did.
Right. So we might do that. We might just come back next Thursday after wrestling. So let's just say that. Let's come back Thursday. Everybody watch wrestling, see what they think. See if we can figure this stuff out, everyone.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks so much, Sid.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve. It's always good to see and hear from you. Take it easy there in Canada. Everybody keep their noses clean. And see you back here Thursday night on the Vicious Circle.
You've been listening to the Vicious Circle podcast. Your host, Sid Udi. Co-host, Rob Bellamy. Additional research by Pete Marsh. The Vicious Circle podcast is produced by Two Cousin Road Trip Productions, a division of JX3 Media Productions. The intro music is Unleash the Giants by Cemetery Spawn, and the outro music is Digging Space by Mike Treble.